I'm winging it, so no, I'm
Gentlemen,
kidding. I'm kidding.
welcome back to the second edition of Festus Fantasy First Take. Today, very excited about today. I have the manager of the '08 Lions, Collin Doyle, and the manager of We Are Shit, Tony Marmani. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well, doing well. How about yourself?
Just fine because I get to see your guys' beautiful faces.
I can't complain, man. Happy to be here.
Well, it's gonna be the same kind of formula as last time, guys. We're just gonna rattle off some questions. You guys are kind of prepared, but hopefully we can get into some good conversation about some topics, fantasy players, trades, managers, maybe even some statistics. We're going to really dive into it. So I want to start with coming to Tony. Tony, you just got your first win of the season, conveniently beating Colin, funny enough. Tony, how you feeling?
Piece of shit. No, it felt good. It felt really good. I gained a lot of confidence in my team, even though we barely put up over 100. I feel like the team is not that bad. I need to patch up the running back room because Jerome Ford is not going to cut it as an RB2, especially with Hunt coming back. But I feel a lot more confident in my team than I did before this week. I'll say that.
Well, that's great. To fix up that RB room, are you talking maybe trade potential? Are you thinking, is that what you're kind of alluding to?
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
need to start shopping around.
Fair enough. Well then let's move on to Colin. You obviously lost to Tony this week, Colin. Don't mean to rub any more salt into that wound, but any concerns? Are you still pretty confident in the '08 Lions?
You guys saw who I had on a bye week. Everybody knows the firepower that was on my bench in my starting tight end, and probably two of the top seven running backs in fantasy, one of them being the best player in fantasy
That's
that
correct.
I haven't got to see on my team yet. And I lost to Tony by what, 11 points?
It was
Yeah,
it was 11.
I I told you guys all on Saturday. I already chalked this one up as a loss. I told everyone I knew it. Uh It's looking up though. I mean, I don't see many more valleys in the future. I really, if Saquon stays healthy, I feel good.
Well, an underrated part of your week this week was you had DK Metcalf pretty much not show up at all, and your team still put up almost 100 points. So pretty impressive.
That's what I think. It was my lowest scoring game of the year so far, which was in the mid 90s. I can't complain. DK did nothing. Who else? There was another. Oh, I put Zach Ertz in at tight end. He got me 3 points. And I'm still kissing 100. I don't. I'm not worried.
Great. Okay, good. Good to kind of touch base with all that.
Tony's over there grinning like he did
Tony's
something this week, man.
hey, buddy, I cracked the hundo for the first time, so
Yeah.
good.
Hey,
You and Judson
when
are
T
fighting for
Higgins
100
scores
points every
93
week.
touchdowns.
Yep. Hey, Judd, that team's got some stuff going on over there, huh?
Little foreshadow for later on. I'm excited to get to Judson's team, but I actually want to move on to Tony. You made the big initial blockbuster deal. It started off the season with trades, and you traded for CMC. Whether people agree with that decision or not, what was your thought process for that? And then, if you could, please share the thought process in dealing him with Tyreek Hill later on in the season.
Yeah, so I'll start off with the trade to get CMC. Dude, at the beginning of the year, I panicked and I was like, "Wow, I am shit." So I
He
went
changed
out.
his team name to
Yeah,
Zach.
well, it's right out of the draft.
I mean, I just putting the identity right on the board for everyone to see. We're not hiding anything over here in the Marmani corner. So anyways, yeah, I was like, wow, I need to make a change. And I made a horrible trade. Should never have made that trade, but I did, and I panicked, and that was that. So then I had CMC, and um, the reason I moved him is because I got the news that he was going to Germany. And I was like, well, that's not where people are playing football right now.
Yeah.
So I just
There's not a
figured,
lot of good history in Germany.
right? Yeah.
Especially for white people. It's pretty
Yeah.
tough.
That's right. So I was like, well, that's not good. I'm going to try and ship them out while I can still get something for them. And then Chris with his whatever his source that seems to know everything that's not true, um, ate him up. And then I thought that was a good trade for me. And getting rid of Tyreek, I mean, he's not having a good season at all. And especially without Tua now, he looks even worse. So I mean, I think I won that trade, but we'll see if CMC and Tyreek start to produce when CMC comes back, then that'll be really scary because Chris has a solid lineup, especially with those two.
I mean, you faced a lot of criticism about these trades in your early part of the season. Do you want to like respond to those haters, including me? I've said some pretty harsh and critical things about your team. What would you like to kind of respond as?
I mean, when you're sitting at 1-4, there's really not much you can say. I mean, I made some bad trades that I shouldn't have. I panicked. I really did when we lost 1 and 2 games. I was like, okay, I need to make changes. Made a little too many changes, and now I'm stuck with the squad I got. So,
Well,
yeah, that's
at
that's that.
least you're admirable about it. You're very admirable. We love
I
you,
try.
Tony. We're not going to be mean
Thanks,
to you
man.
anymore. I feel bad. I was so mean. I'm calling you the biggest idiot ever, and now you're just like,
Hey,
oh, I feel bad. Okay, well
no hard feelings.
let's move on. This is a very interesting question that I wanted to ask. Listen, Colin, you said it. Saquon Barkley is the best player in fantasy football right now. And already he's been traded twice this season. The best player being traded once is a crazy thing. Last year CMC got traded once to Tony. That rarely happens. It's already happened twice now. Is it surprising to see someone of that caliber moved this many times, potentially more? Who knows, Colin? Is it weird to see that? Do you think it's probably the new normal, or people just trying to make trades to make trades? What do you have to say about that, Colin?
Well, first and foremost, I think Saquon found a home.
Are you officially
uh,
saying he's part of the '08 Lions?
I think he is.
I'm
But
sure
no,
he's
it's not surprising, dude, because everyone is gonna hit the panic button when they go 1-2, 0-3, whatever it is. They're gonna hit the panic button. They're like, okay, let me trade my best player for like 3 good players. Like, let me get some depth, or like, you know how it is. And I think that's just the new normal, especially with like there's like there's a premium of like great fantasy players. And if you know you have one in like Saquon, and if you suck, then you're gonna have to deal them, and you're gonna try to gain some depth, or maybe you're dealing with an injury or whatever it is. But I'm not surprised. But no plans on moving him in the near future. I know Dom just offered me about 5 peanuts for Saquon Barkley, and I mean, what are we doing here?
Oh, Dom. Dom, hey, just got off the phone with them earlier, made a great deal. I'm very happy about that. But yes, I think it's interesting that you have these players such high caliber, like you said. Saquon Barkley is the best player in fantasy, especially at the running back position, and yet he's being moved twice now. I think it's insane. And if I may, there are terrible deals for the guy. Chris made a terrible deal. I think Jay Gill made a terrible deal. You obviously came out on top.
Garrett
Sure.
Wilson did go crazy last week. Of course, that's just how
Yeah.
it was going to happen. Of
Right, but then
course.
Aaron Jones gets injured, so when you really put it into perspective, considering your wide receiver room already, on top of that, you got back Christian Kirk. I mean, he's not good, but it's something. You absolutely won that trade. At a 2-2 manager like Jay Gill was, I was just really shocked um, Tony, what do you think about big name players being on the move? You know,
Yeah. For the Saquon, Chris was the one that initially traded him, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I so much blame him there. As we know, Saquon's kind of an injury prone player, and the way that the Eagles are using him, I think it's highly likely that he's out at some point in the year. I mean, obviously he's a fucking stud. Like he puts up the highest numbers in the game right now, and he's a great asset to have. But it is a bit of a risky addition once you take on Saquon. It's like CMC, you know.
Mm-hmm. So are you kind of insinuating that you shouldn't be trading for players because of injury concerns and just the future possibilities?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that because I went and did the same thing last year with CMC and this year. But I mean, it's just a risk, and I think it depends on where the state of the team is. But if you're willing to take that on, it could, it's high risk, high reward. You could win the league off of it, or you could be down at 1-4 because they get hurt and they don't play.
I mean, I agree. I mean, last year, Tony, you got CMC and he got you to the championship. I think there's no question about that.
That's Collin's daddy right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's still having nightmares, he told me. He said he can't sleep at night without a white guy.
I literally think about that play when he caught that wheel down the sideline and he fell.
Oh my God,
he
ran it.
He fell at he fell at the 25-yard line. He laid there. He did a couple fucking snow angels. He got up, looked around, and then he ran a touchdown. I was like, dude, there's no defensive back in the picture. Like, what is going on right now? Why is he at 45?
That game was because I still remember the exact play too, and it was hilarious that you so vividly remember it.
Yeah, dude, my parents had to buy a new TV. I fucking
Collin took the remote and was fucking playing horseshoes with it.
I want you guys to come up with one guy, maybe a couple guys, just big name players. Maybe not totally Saquon, but big name NFL fantasy football guys that are going to be on the move in the next couple weeks. If you have any ideas,
I've got one.
Collin, yeah, let's start with
immediately, dude. If my name's Chris, bro, Tyreek.
Yeah,
you can't wait any longer because he's only losing value as the days go by, dude. Just based off his name alone, you gotta ship him off and get something because he is useless right now.
I don't hate that idea. Even with Tua coming back, I mean, it is confirmed he'll come back this season. Week 8 is
mashed potato brains. Or what are we talking about, dude? Get rid of Tyreek.
I mean, let's not also forget Tua is not good in the winter time, and that is going to be later. I mean, I agree with you. I think
people would argue that he's not good in the summertime.
I mean, clearly he's not good enough. I mean, Tony?
I would definitely agree with the Tyreek Hill. And one for me would be Jay Gill. I would, Breece Hall. He might want to start thinking about moving Breece Hall at this point. And he's losing some touches to what's his name, Braylon Allen. Mm-hmm. And he looks pretty good, so I wouldn't be surprised if that guy's on the move. But we'll see. We'll see.
I had a name, and you guys let me know how you guys feel about this. Bijan Robinson on the Dogs right now.
I was just about to say that.
I think he traded the wrong running back. Unfortunately, Ty did.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, but now Bijan is just. There's just no PPR value there right now. And they're, again, not using him right. Tyler Algier is getting way too much volume, which I think he's on your team, Tony, Tyler Algier or someone's.
No, I don't have Algier.
Just someone's.
I thought it was Jay Gill.
Oh, maybe it is Jay Gill. Well, it is Jay Gill, right? Nevertheless, if Bijan gets a little bit of injury, Tyler Algier gets the full workload. If Bijan gets injured, if Tyler Algier gets injured, I still think Bijan splits carries. I just don't know if they know what they're doing with him. Or maybe they're being too conservative. Regardless, no PPR value. I don't think they know what they're doing because the Falcons are dumb. Hope you hear that, Judd. That's who I thought of.
Yeah, the Falcons just
I agree.
I don't know what goes on down there in Atlanta, but they just cannot seem to get it right on offense, whether it's Bijan, Kyle Pitts, whoever they have that could be a stud. They just can't seem to get it right.
Except Darnell Mooney. He's apparently the best wide receiver ever to play in Atlanta.
Yeah, which is weird.
Somehow. There's a ton of strategies in terms of roster construction. Collin, when I look at your team, I see super heavy running back, right? That's the identity of this team. Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley. I respect that. It's a clear identity. Tony, I think you kind of went for more of a zombie running back, right? Like right now, you're in the mid to late round range of running backs, value guys that hopefully have some upside. I think it's paid off a little bit. I like Brian Robinson a lot, but
Two.
maybe, and then myself kind of going with one high level running back, one high level receiver, kind of just spreading it out more balanced. When you look at these examples and maybe some other examples in the league, what do you guys think is the best strategy coming out or going into a draft or throughout the season, kind of building rosters?
I'll go ahead and attack that one. I think, dude, it's like I said last time I was on here, PPR league. However, you got to go about that. If it's a couple mid-tier running backs that are going to get you, those point values. I know last time I was trashing DeAndre Swift, but in the past 2 weeks, he has shown me that he is exactly what I thought
What a
I
turnaround.
was getting. A guy like that, a guy like Aaron Jones, fucking sixth, seventh round running back that's going to get you 20 points a game, in the PPR realm of things. So if you need to attack it like that, that's kind of what I'm doing with Gibbs, DeAndre Swift, and Saquon, kind of doing that with the running backs. But you could easily do that with the wide receivers too. You could get guys like Mooney on the Falcons that are just going to get a lot of targets for absolutely no reason. You could get guys like I have Josh Downs. I think that's a sleeper that he's not the wide receiver one on his team, but Pittman, the real wide receiver one, is getting a lot of attention. So Downs is just getting those, quick looks that because Pittman's, getting double covered or whatever it is. I just think just however you can get that PPR value, whether it's, top wide receivers or sleeper running backs, whatever you need to do, like just rack up those PPR points.
I really like that. Tony, what do you say?
Yeah, I would say kind of along the same lines. But I think it is important to kind of go for. I think the strategy you had would be the best. Kind of getting a solid running back and then another solid receiver. And then, you can get those guys that Colin was talking about in the later rounds that are kind of sleeper picks, but they put up numbers, and that can be your RB2s, your wide receiver twos on your fantasy squad because they'll do what's needed to be done. And then you also have those heavy hitters like, the Camaras and the Jamar Chases, like if we're looking at your team specifically. The problem with me is I seem to have only the sleeper picks and no heavy hitters. So
Okay.
yeah,
Hold on.
that's what I can say
I do
about that.
gotta go take a leak. I don't know if Jackson's gonna cut this out or what. I don't know how this works, but I'll
Just,
mute it
just,
if you want me to.
oh, just don't show us anything. Tony, keep going. Tony, keep going.
Yeah, I can keep speaking on that while Colin's, utilizing the facilities. But there is benefit, I would say, to doing like a double hero running back because in another league I have Kyron Williams and A Chain, and obviously without Tua, A Chain is kind of not good. But I also have James Conner, which I think is kind of a top tier fantasy running back at this point, and it's worked out very well for me. And the wide receiver room is not very very stacked. It's kind of those sleeper guys, and that's also worked out. But I would say overall, the best strategy would be the one hero running back and the one hero receiver strategy that you got going on there, Jax.
Well, thank you.
Usual.
I would like to ask because I really got lucky with Kamara. I went first round with Chase. I think my philosophy is you got to go super good wide receiver first round, right? And then truthfully get lucky with your running backs as the draft goes on. But would you still go running back first now, or are you more wide receiver? Because I think the PPR value, like Colin said, you just get that with wide receivers. Okay, a wide receiver is going to score 40 points way all more often and way more frequently than a running back would. Now, running backs have more opportunities and touches, yes, but like Colin said, the PPR value is something that cannot be matched. So I think just the way I feel about fantasy football, wide receivers are more important, and it's better to go that way. It's just my thought.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I would say I drafted a running back in the first round this year because I thought I would not have as much depth in the later rounds at the running back position. So I wanted to kind of get them quick.
Yeah,
Rashad White did not work out, but yeah, I mean you're totally right about the wide receivers bringing more value and just scoring more points period to a team. So yeah.
I think so. All right. Well, now guys, all right. We got the main kind of just ballpark questions. Now let's get to the heavy hitters. All right, let's get to the manager specific. Guys, what manager has made the worst pick of the draft so far, in your opinions? There's a midseason award about this. There's an end of the season award about it. I want to get your guys' takes on what you believe. We'll go
The
around the horn.
worst, the worst pick.
The worst pick.
Worst pick in the draft so far. Maybe things can change, but so far, what's the worst pick in the draft? You can give, one or two, whatever, but
Well, Jackson.
I know
I feel like you know what I'm gonna say.
All right, so you can still say it. It's okay.
That Mark Andrews pick is looking like
Yeah.
very, very dim right now. What was that,
I'm gonna
fourth rounder?
I'm gonna drop him. Fourth rounder, yep.
So you're dropping your fourth round pick. I think
I'm
that
I'm
says all I need
no
to
one will
say.
take him in a trade, and I don't blame anyone. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want him either.
Tony has Isaiah Likely, who just scored 2 touchdowns on Sunday. Like
Exactly.
what is Mark Andrews doing?
It's so sad. It's so, but
But
my fourth round,
as
I
soon
gotta
as
hang
you
on to him.
drop him,
He'll go off.
he's 30 points a game.
Right. And so that's
Yeah.
and then guess who's going to get him? Chris will get him somehow. So I'm
Yeah.
just staying back. I don't
Yeah.
want to get rid of him yet, but I 100% agree. Mark Andrews is probably the universal worst pick so far this year. What about some other ideas? Tony, what do you think?
I think you could definitely make a case for the Mark Andrews pick. I also think that you could also say CMC with the number one pick overall
Yeah.
because he might not play till December, or I saw November. So who knows what that November 30th or November 1st. I don't know. But
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
also Tyreek at 3 is another one that you could put up there. But that's what I would put my 3 as if I
Okay.
had to choose.
I like that. Colin, you got a
Yeah.
couple more?
Tyreek for sure. I didn't even think about that. Any tight end that was drafted in the top 5 probably sucks for your team right now.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
the before that.
Me,
Yeah.
I fell victim to it. I think Ty probably drafted Kelsey in the 4th or 5th, if I had to guess.
Third
He
round.
drafted him in the
Third.
third.
Oh fuck.
First
Yeah,
off,
Kelsey's
boy.
heating up though. He's
He
heating
did
up.
just heat
I
up.
will say that.
Yeah.
So he might
Um,
change that around.
Yeah, dude. Probably either Mark Andrews or Tyreek right now is looking pretty rough.
I'd like to also shout out Rashad White. I think that is looking to be very
Yeah, that's a horrible pick. Third rounder too.
third rounder comparable. Mark Andrews and Rashad White are going to be holding hands on the waiver wire eventually.
Yeah, and I mean Josh Jacobs was on the board when I picked up Rashad. Kenneth Walker I could have got.
Don't even look at it, Tony. Don't even look at it, Tony.
Yeah. Just there's so many other players that are way better.
I'll do that once a week. I'll scroll through the draft and see like what I picked versus what I could have picked, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude! Like what?
That's
what
the
was I
beauty
on?
of fantasy, though. Like you just never know who's going to be that guy. You think you know, and then you get shit on.
And then
See, I was kicking myself about Rasheed Rice because I picked I picked someone dumb ahead of Rasheed Rice when I could have had him, but then like 3 weeks later, it's like,
injuries too. That's a huge factor.
Also Anthony Richardson by Jay Gill. I think he's first quarterback off the board. So that kind of transition, who had the worst draft? You guys can kind of remember.
I mean,
I actually wouldn't say you.
My man Tony, man, with that Colts stack was just gnarly, bro.
Dude, I had high hopes for the Colts this year. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
and then it just went south quick.
I don't know, dude. There was a couple of picks where I saw what Tony was. I was like, damn, did he click the wrong button or something?
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. I don't know. Nobody really like was glaringly bad like during the draft or even after. I was like, there's no shit teams. I mean, I know Jackson said I had a fucking dog shit draft, but
You named
Yeah.
yourself the '08 Lion. I
I
wouldn't
explained this
really.
to you last time, man. You
Hey,
put that badge on me, and I just wore it with pride. That's all I did.
did I call you the '08 Lions? Is that why? Or did
No,
you?
you just called me incredibly terrible, and
Oh.
I looked at my team, and I looked at my team. I was like, oh, I got a couple Lions players on here. Jackson thinks I'm bad. Okay, I'll ride with the 0-16 Lions.
Well, I've definitely given you some bulletin board material heading
You
into our
did.
matchup this week. That's well, I didn't realize how good Jaden Reed and Jordan Love are going to be. And DK's having a fantastic year. I love DK this year. And then you made a great trade. So you are definitely not the '08 Lions anymore. I think
72 Dolphins.
yeah. Well, how about the well, maybe some Patriots one year.
There you go.
One
I'll
of the
take that.
Patriots. Tony definitely had a tough draft. Taylor, Pittman, then Rashad White. Were those your first three picks?
It was, yep. Yep.
None of which are on
I,
your team anymore.
No, I mean, once if you know all four of your first 4 round draft picks are not on your team anymore, you didn't do something right. So,
That is not in the record book, but I might have to add that because I've never heard of that. That's
yeah, all 4 of my first 4 round draft picks were gone by like week 3. So,
not by injury either. They were just gone.
nope, they just all got traded. It's been a rough year, man.
All
Chris,
right.
breaking news, Chris just sent me a trade.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
All right. We gotta kind of hurry up a little. We're having too much fun. There's a lot of questions. We got to cut some out. Any ideas on the best trade so far for a team? I know we've mentioned Collin. If that one's pretty, I think pretty universal for Collin. Um, there's trades every
yeah,
week, I just like kind of asking everybody's opinions on it.
I mean, why wouldn't I choose the trade that I got the best player in fantasy for?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely up there. I think my trade with Brock was good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
that's been a pretty universal one as well.
yeah, but that would probably be the top 2 that I see.
I agree. All right, here we go, Colin. I've been excited to ask you this question. Tony, you chime in as well. Colin, you are sitting with an all-time record of 26 and 21. And for being someone who has mainly been a college football fan for most of his life, you've been able to put together some high power, high scoring teams in fantasy that have been making the playoffs consistently. So, what has been your keys to success?
Um, well, first and foremost, you brought up college football. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the Aggies' big win against Mizzou, 41-10.
Yeah, that's a great
Take 'em.
one. It's a
Anyways,
great one.
Take him.
moving on past that, dude, I don't know. I just think I have a decent understanding of the game and what teams are trying to do. Um, like last time I was on here, I know I was bad mouthing DeAndre Swift, but I told you I had that feeling like rookie quarterback, veteran running back, pretty good running back. Like I feel like they're going to lean on him, PPR, like all those things, and it's turning out to be looked that way. Or like a guy like I know I brought up Josh Downs earlier, not the wide receiver one on his team, but the wide receiver one, Pittman's going to get a lot of attention. I think that opens up a lot of room for Josh Downs to, do his thing. Just things like that. Like watching Reed last year, I just felt that he would have a breakout year this year. He reminds me of like a Debo Samuel type of guy, the way they used him. So
Yeah.
like I just figured he would take that next step this year. I don't know. I just feel like I have a decent understanding.
So it's just
Seeing,
straight up no ball. Like that's just
it's
his.
just like seeing what teams are trying to do with these guys and having a good draft. Yeah, I don't know. Luck probably has a good amount to do with it,
Well,
but
everyone always you have to have
yeah,
luck in everything, but I like that answer actually. I like that you're really diving into just what you know about football and using that to your advantage, along with the PPR strategy
yeah,
that you alluded to earlier. Tony, you obviously made the championship last year. That's something that not everyone can say. So, I mean, look, still be proud of that. Joe Burrow has a whole career because he made a fucking Super Bowl. So it's just, it'll be with you forever, apparently. But
Wow.
but you sit at a 16-17 currently record all time. What needs to change to improve that part? Like I said, you can make the Super Bowl, but why do you have a negative record all time?
Yeah, so that's not counting the playoffs, is it? That's just regular season.
Just regular season, yeah.
Okay.
From this last
Yeah. So, the first year I was like 7-7. Last year made the championship. Those 2 years when I drafted, I didn't really do much research. And then this year I went and did like a bunch of research and shit, and it shot me in the foot because I thought I knew shit that ended up not working out. So I think for future drafts, I need to just go back to the way I was doing it, just kind of drafting who I think will work out instead of like trying to look at all the stats and stuff like that, because that's how you get too involved into the players, and then you're drafting people that aren't good and stuff like that. But to improve that, I think that'll help in drafts moving forward. But also, I just need to stop making so many trades, man. Like I take a loss and then I like panic and think I need to do a bunch of ship everyone off when I don't think that's the case.
How long have you been playing fantasy football?
Um, as long as I can remember, like I've been
Really?
playing, yeah, for a long
Have
time.
you always been one of those like make a lot of trades type of guy, or is this kind of a new
Uh,
phenomenon?
this is new. I would say it started last year, I guess, would be the first time. And then it's only really this league. Like in all the other leagues I have, I really don't trade that much. But this league, I don't know why. Yeah.
That's a great kind of thing though, because is this league, does it, I mean, obviously there's a lot that goes into this league. We're doing a literal podcast thing up for it. Does that add stress for managers? Does that add like we got to really focus? I don't know how to really explain it, but like, does this league and the environment and the atmosphere make it harder for people almost? Like, does the pressure get to people?
Yeah, I think so. I think so because they know whatever they do is getting put on YouTube.
Literally,
like,
literally gonna
Get
put on
outed.
YouTube.
and I'm the opposite. Like, I'm not gonna go panic and make a bunch of trades because I don't want, you know, the next day Jackson to make a viral YouTube video about how dumb Collin is for making the worst trade in fantasy. Like, I would just rather not. But other people, I guess, see it the other way, and they're like, dude, I gotta make my team better. I gotta trade, and like, I don't know. It just depends on which way you see it, I guess. But yeah, dude, we are in the bright lights in this league, and it is intimidating.
I think that's awesome. I love that. Burn the bright lights. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna be right back with the next part of this.
Hell yeah.
All right, here's the second kind of session of our first take episode. Hope everyone has been enjoying it so far. Con, last week we said on this show that you were probably the most underrated manager in the league, and you have since taken that very personally, trading for literally the best player in fantasy. And well, I haven't heard the end of it. You know, kind of like
Yeah.
how Brock hasn't heard the end of the Aggies whooping up on Mizzou, right? Like you haven't heard
There
the
we
end.
go.
So I'd like to announce that Collin is no longer the most underrated manager in the league. Congratulations. However, now we need a new underrated manager in the league. So I would like to open up the floor. Who is that?
I,
You know,
let me. I feel like whatever. I just didn't feel like I should be underrated. I've been to the playoffs years and well, not years and years. I've only been in the league 3 years, but I'm a playoff team. I'm a third best record in the league. Like,
you're a top tier, top
yeah,
five at least.
like I just felt the underrated was like a slight towards me. I just felt like I was better than underrated. But that's not the question. Underrated. You asked you asked me this on Saturday and I gave you my answer. You didn't agree with me. I'm gonna double down on this answer. I'm gonna say Jaden Gill. because me and Jaden Gill entered the league at the same time. We went to the toilet bowl at the same time. And ever since then, I feel like he just put up rosters that, like, they might not win all the time, they might not lose all the time, but, like, you do not want to face his team because he always has guys that will go for 40. He always has a team that could fucking put up 170 that week. Like, Jay Gill's not a guy I want to play. And I feel like me and him, we joined the league at the same time. We've been on the same fucking career trajectory, up and right, baby. We've been going same way, and nobody mentions him. I just feel like Jay Gill's an underrated manager.
I don't know if I agree with that at all. But Tony,
Um, I would actually agree with Collin here.
There you go.
I think Jay Gill, when I saw that question, that was who I thought of. But I mean, not really in years past, but in this year alone, you could say AJ. I mean, that's a sleeper pick.
his
He's
win-loss record is severely increasing. Still has not made the playoffs though.
no, but I mean, 4-1 right now. I don't know how he's doing it because on paper, I mean,
Pretty
that
good.
team doesn't look that good, but they are.
Yeah, I thought that coming out of the draft. I was like, there's no AJ Brown and Kyron for sure, but
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors has propelled this team into clear number one status. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought after this question, since Collin's no longer the underrated guy, and I looked at the stats, and I have, went through the history of the league. I actually
Yeah,
thought
what do the stats say? Mez?
I don't know if the stats say Mez, but I say Mez.
Dude, he's a last place guy. Like, literally last year.
He's having a good year, but
He's never
yeah.
gotten last actually though. He finished seventh technically last year. So
Okay.
before last year, he was actually a consistently 500 or above team.
Well, this year he's a top 2 team,
A
you
hundred,
know,
yeah,
Yeah.
top
you know.
three at least. And
Can't argue. But whenever you ask me that question, I think about all the years I've been in the league, which this is my third or fourth? Not
it
third,
was
I think.
third.
Yeah, like so I think about all collective and like I don't know. Yeah, Mez this year though. Top 2 team. Can't argue with that.
Well, then who is the most overrated manager in the league? Tony, start with you this time. Who's the most overrated?
Um, ooh, you could say Chris.
You
You
could
could
say, I feel like he's the clear answer.
um,
That's
Chris and Tom both have rings, but they don't perform since I've been in the league, really. I can't remember who
Dom.
was it Dom who won the first year that we joined, Colin?
No,
No,
it was Chris.
It was
Oh,
Chris, Dom, me.
Chris went 7-7 and beat like 10-4 tie, like miracle.
10-4 tie, then beat 11-3 Brock. I think in the same year.
No,
No,
well,
that's crazy.
I think the year he beat Brock was before me and Tone were
Well,
in the
okay,
deal.
maybe. But Brock, I think, was in the play. Brock has had a tough couple years too. He's been the playoff guy, and he can't get over the hump. He just
Yeah.
he is not. And I went back and I've looked at the brackets, and he is besides last year or 2 years ago. Sorry, he's been in the playoffs every year. Like good round two championship, and he cannot
Yeah,
win.
yeah,
So Colin, what's your pick? Is it Chris?
dude.
Sucks.
Yeah, it was gonna be Chris because I've heard all these, fairy tales about Chris. Glory days,
Fairy tales, yeah.
and
Mhm.
I've been in the league 3 years. My first year, I was in the toilet bowl with Jay Gill. Chris was a 500 team, but he just made a run at it is what it is. Like he won the ring. Great on him. But since then, we're talking
Nothing.
2 years now. I've seen missed playoffs, terrible trades,
Terrible
just
record. 16 and
yeah,
31.
16 and 31.
I'm pretty sure.
that
Wow.
is awful.
That's
So
bad.
It is
overrated
the worst in the league.
and not even overrated because like we overrate him, just overrated because like those 2 ring emojis pop up in the chat so often that we can never forget about it. And like, I don't know. Yeah, Chris is my answer.
I'd have to say the same. If I had to throw like a dark horse throw, I'd say I think you could definitely make an argument for Ty recently having a tough go.
Dude, but Ty gets just not like he
I
gets
think no
attacked by
shade to
the
Ty. I love
injury
Ty, but
bug. He gets attacked by the injury bug like I've never seen, dude.
His injuries last year really hurt him.
This year's no better. Like it's just unlucky. Like I
well,
don't
this
know.
year is kind of just drafted shitty. But
This guy.
all right, I'm sorry. We're not gonna hate on Ty.
Yeah.
We can hate on Chris all day. We could do
Oh yeah.
that so
Oh yeah.
easy.
Oh
But
yeah.
sometimes I like to switch it up, and maybe we start something in the chat. I like that question though because I think, like you said, the bright lights are on in this league, and if NFL players can be held accountable, I think we should be too. If that's how our league is set up. So hold on one quick.
Think it is.
And there goes the host.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. All right, Colin. By my calculations, you have only made. I went back and checked this. This is how much effort I put into this record book. By the way, I figured out everything. By my calculations, you have only made 9 trades in the last 3 years. 9 trades total. And that's actually one of the lower numbers in the league, considering a lot of guys are in the 20s. So are you just not a big trade guy? Tony, I think you're up in the teens at least. Are you not a big trade guy, Colin? Or do you just not like find the right deal? Or what is it?
Um, I think if you show up on draft day, you don't gotta be a big trade guy.
That's a tough quote. Tough
That's
quote.
that,
Mic drop. Mic
that's
drop.
that's where I stand. I feel like every draft day I show up, do my thing, and I'm not a panicker. I'm not a shit. I'm 1 and 2. I gotta make 1,000 moves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I told you last week, like week 5, week 6, see what a guy is, and then make a move accordingly. But no, dude, I think I
Would you
show up on draft day,
would
and
you say you're the best drafter in the league?
no, I wouldn't say that because I don't have the hardware to prove it. But
It's depending on the hardware.
yeah, I don't know.
I think of all the
I
managers,
don't
you
know.
put up some of the most high-powered teams in the league consistently. So I think that has to go through trading. I'm sorry, drafting, because you don't make trades.
Yeah,
So I definitely think I could put you up there.
I also just get like stressed when I make like even the Saquon trade I made like a week ago, dude. Like I was sweating it before I hit that accept button, but then
I'm the same
I
way.
just like I don't
Tony's
know.
not, but
I overthink the trades, but no, I really do think I just draft decent squads, and it is what it is.
I Colin Doyle, the best drafter in the league.
I'm not saying that. No, no, I'm
What
not
do you
saying
what do you
that.
say? What do you say, Tony? Do you not agree with that? I think he makes a very good case considering
Collin's
his
the
team.
best drafter in the league.
I mean, he definitely makes the case, I think.
I think he definitely makes a case, but I would agree with him in the fact that you kind of need the hardware
Yeah,
to be considered like best at
yeah. Chris
something.
putting words in my mouth. He's trying to make newspaper headlines
He
right
wants.
now.
Hey, well, because every time I fucking open my mouth, you just get more bulletin board material. I'm trying to reverse it. So
Ugh.
it's like a I don't know a jinx almost, but I think there is a top echelon of teams this year. I think it's 4 teams right now, kind of clear cut. There's just a level, and that's AJ, Collin, Mez, and myself. I think. Who would
Yeah.
you guys pick to win it all this year? And then, if you wouldn't mind, give a dark horse team for the guys not in that echelon to win it all.
Tony, take this one away.
I would say with that Saquon trade, Colin has a real shot. The only team I think all 4 of those teams could win it, but the only team that I don't know if AJ's team will put it together.
Ooh, still some question marks in the eyes of the public.
What more can the guy do, man?
I've seen the light, Tony. I've seen the
Yeah.
light. I mean, he's seen beneath me, but like I've, nicely seen his.
What do you mean by that? Huh?
I just have to point that out. I beat him. No need to brag. I don't mean, it's the past, but so you
I
don't think
mean,
AJ's got it? Interesting. I like that.
I don't know. It's just like Malik Neighbors and AJ Brown. I was looking at the roster. I didn't see those 2 cats hiding on the bench. I forgot he had he had Brown.
Oh, now you're gonna
But
backtrack a little bit.
I am going to backtrack a little bit. Yeah. Still though, I would still say looking at these four teams, Colin and Mez, I think are the most well-rounded and could pull it off.
I agree. I agree. I think the power rankings support that as well.
Mhm.
You have a dark horse candidate, not in those top four teams. They could be 1-4, like you and Austin. Just a dark horse guy that can make the playoffs and win it all.
Um, I don't think I would. I think you have to go Chris. Like Chris has kind of a squad. If CMC and Tyreek Hill can come back and figure it out, that would be my pick.
Dude, I know you just put him in the top four, but I still do not think Mez is getting that level of respect that this guy's got a one loss team. He's probably a top two in the power ranking team, but I don't think anybody in the league like actually sees him as that.
Hey, to be fair to
And
Mez, he just rolled out with the waiver wire squad. Literally, his whole team was off the waiver wire. He
yes,
have 130. So maybe
yes.
he just turned a corner and being a manager, and that's just the whole sole reason.
Listen, I
Besides the
think
point,
he's one of the top teams in the league, but I don't think he's viewed as a top team in the league. So
I agree.
I'm gonna put him as a favorite for the championship and a dark horse just because of
Okay,
like you know, I just
I
don't
like
think
that.
people are seeing it.
I like that actually. I actually really like that. I think it's Colin. I think Colin is the clear cut in my opinion. I think him and AJ have the best rosters that can put up points. I mean, I think AJ said this was the first he scored over 130, but he hasn't been below 115 or something stupid.
AJ started getting a little mouthy in the chat this
Getting
week.
a
I don't
little,
know if you
hey, he's
guys
like humble.
noticed.
He's humble
He,
Jackson, bitch.
AJ's
Humble
AJ's
this one
starting to get some
time.
confidence behind him, dude.
He's
It's
4 and
actually pretty
1.
interesting. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting.
I think that's a great question though, because you can really look at all four of those teams and be like, wow, that's a pretty stout squad. I would say the only glaring issue is Mez's wide receiver two within all of those teams.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
It comes down to injuries. Do
Yeah,
managers implode? Because sometimes maybe AJ goes like another loss or two, 4-3. Does he implode? Mez injuries, myself injuries. Do I make a stupid trade? Maybe Saquon goes down for Collin. Like all these questions. And then right up the rear, here comes Tony and finishes 10-4 and wins the one seed.
Tony goes
You never
9-0
know.
to close out the season.
That would
That's the
be
beauty of fantasy, baby.
I
You
would
never
sit all
know
my
what can
players just to
happen.
see you win that if you went back from 1-4 to 10-4. That'd be
Oh,
awesome.
Jackson, I think I could go 10 and 4 if you sold all your players. If you getting what
Okay.
I'm putting down
Well,
here.
we'll talk after this. There's no collusion. It'll pass, I promise. I'll edit things.
Jack's like, oh yeah, I don't know. This is only rated a .10.
Yeah. He
Super
has been
fair in
though, by
terms
the
of my
way.
numbers. Colin, I want to get Colin and Tony. I want to get a little serious here. Colin, you have the better all-time record, but Tony has the championship appearance. And listen, he eliminated you from the playoffs last year. So who is better at fantasy football? Let's call a spade a spade. Who's better?
I mean, the the cat's been to the big dance and I haven't.
That what it takes? Appearance?
I don't know, dude, because now I'm thinking like overall record kind of means something, but I don't know. CMC did have the game of forever, and I, I don't know, dude. That's tough. I'll give it. I'll give it to the guy that's been to the big dance. I haven't. Tony's been there, seen it, done it. I'll give it to him.
I would say Colin
Oh my
because
goodness, all this meat in each other's mouths.
you can go to the big dance, but what's it all matter if you don't win the damn thing,
That is
So
true.
Well, hey, Joe Burrow's made a career out of it. Apparently,
You are a Joe Burrow hater, huh,
now he's
Jack?
not on my team anymore. I don't gotta
He
love him.
got rid of him 2.5 hours ago, and now he just doesn't give a fuck about
Joe
him.
Burrow's a piece of shit. He's
Yeah.
No,
fucking
hey, as
trash.
long as he throws a Jamar Chase every single play, I love him. But I just like to point that out because it's true. Everyone overvalues Burrow because he went to that Super Bowl. And maybe it's because you got to get over some teams in this league, some great managers. So a Super Bowl appearance means something. I think
Dude,
maybe we should kind of have some pride in
I
that.
I
I
thought
mean, the
that,
guy
but then
just did almost. Go ahead, Colin. Sorry.
I thought that Joe Burrow was like overrated and stuff, but then like I saw on Instagram they posted his stats for the year. He's top two in every quarterback stat.
No, he's being phenomenal. He's phenomenal this year.
Like it's not a Joe Burrow problem over there.
No,
Uh,
it's the defense.
The
That
defense is god awful.
you can't score
like
38 and lose ever.
and
No,
I'm
that should never
Has the
happen.
Steelers ever scored 38 and lost? No.
No, well, the Steelers don't score 38.
Oh yeah, good
I
point. um, Colin. Oh,
mean, they
okay.
just score 17, but the other scores 4. So sorry, go ahead. No, I'm
No,
done.
no, no. Sorry, I cut out a little bit. Um, Colin and Tony, critique some rosters in the league. Like, what are your thoughts on some teams? And someone needs to make a trade, you guys. What do you guys think? Play matchmaker.
I think, ooh, trying to make a match? Okay.
I love this game. I love making mock trades because I think I know more. But I want to hear from you guys.
dude. I Okay. I saw, so you send the questions beforehand, like we all know that. So I was scrolling through them and I was like, damn, I don't really know anybody's team like that. Like, let me look. So I'm scrolling around the league and I'm noticing weak flexes from almost everybody. Um, Brock, can't remember exactly. I just
Tyler
remember seeing
Lockett.
his yeah. I just remember seeing his flexes and I'm like, damn, Jay Gill, blah blah.
Dell.
Dude, then I get to Dom's team and I scroll. Dude, he has two players on the bench. One of them is fucking Tyler Conklin. I'm like, dude, why is he going around offering everybody 5 players for one if he only has 2 players on the bench? I'm like, it doesn't make sense. So, like, as far as roster construction or like glaring weaknesses, like Dom literally carries a starting lineup and that's it. So
I don't even know if you
that's
consider it a starting lineup, if we're being
yeah,
honest.
yeah. That's my answer for that. I don't know.
Tony, what do you think?
Um, yeah, matchmaker. I think that Austin. I mean, he's got Hubbard, he's got Cook, and he's got Bucky Irving, and he's got Pacheco, who's going to come back soon. And I need a running back.
So,
I'm going to call out myself here. I think I could definitely use one of those guys. So I might have to phone up Austin over there and see what we're working with. But that would be me.
Nico Collins did just go down. He might be in the market for a wide receiver.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't even
Is
think
that
about it.
a long term Nico
I don't
Collins
think
injury
so.
or
They
No, just
say it's
week to
week
week.
to week.
Yeah, he tweaked
oh
his hammy a little bit. Um, I agree with you, Colin, that a lot of teams have weak flexes, and since we've gone to this format, I think a lot of people do like they want good flexes, but they don't really put a lot of stock into it. Like you never see someone
it's just
trade
the
for a flex
nature of
player,
the league. It's
right?
just
You
the
know,
nature of the league. 12 team league, 2 flexes, 2 wide receivers to run. Like there's not enough to go around. So a
Mhm.
lot of people are gonna have weak flexes, but the teams that don't are clearly the teams that are, in that upper tier of the league.
I agree. And for Tony, I actually like that idea a lot. I think a Chuba Hubbard or a Bucky Irving. But I mean, you have a shot weight, so I don't know if you'd even want to do that. But James Cook, expensive. If you could get him on that team, I think you'd actually be really, really well off. I'm actually thinking that I think Jay Gill does need to make a trade. And I think Jay Gill needs to package Brees Hall and one of those low end wide receivers because he doesn't have like a wide receiver one. I guess not with Garrett Wilson, but still, I mean, there's no alpha there. But with Brees
Mhm.
Hall, you can move Brees Hall and one of those Xavier Worthy guys for, I mean, well, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's gonna be kind of tough. Maybe
Dude,
CeeDee Lamb?
When me and Jaden were trading, Xavier Worthy was on the no can do list for Jamie
Wow.
Gill. Yeah,
I don't hate
he
that.
he wouldn't let me touch him. So
What about
Especially now. Yeah, Xavier Worthy's he's
yeah,
got
he
some
did pretty
high.
good last
Yeah.
night, didn't he? I don't remember.
Yeah, and with Rice out, I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
just more targets for him.
Well, I mentioned CD. CD Lamb's obviously on Chris's, or I'm sorry, Judson's team. Listen, guys, Judson started off 2-0. He was the clear-cut number one roster and has since, guys, he's fallen off a cliff. It's not even, it's almost sad how bad it has been. Setting the
Mhm.
lowest scoring record twice, 2 weeks in a row, breaking his own record. So he's technically held the record 3 times. And concurrently, that'll be in the forum video. Be sure to look out for that.
oh, that,
But
Yeah.
what happened? I mean, I see this sometimes happen with guys early on doing really good to start the season. I think now AJ's kind of falling into that. Are you just getting complacent? Are you not, are you overvaluing your players because you're off to a good start? What is it? Tony
dude.
or
Yeah.
Colin, whichever.
Go ahead, Tom.
Um, I mean, yeah, this was what I told Jackson I wanted to talk about was Judson's team. I think he's got the most interesting team in the league if you look at it. I mean, I'd like to go player by player if we have the time, but if not,
We
I
have the
understand.
time. And I'll put a side note too. He's fallen from one, and he's not a playoff team anymore in terms of power rankings. So
Yeah.
he's made the
Yeah.
biggest fall.
I mean, okay, we'll start from the top then. I got the roster. Kyler Murray is solid. I mean, no hate there, but ETN and J.K. Dobbins. I mean, ETN has not really looked like the back that he once was in his early years, and Dobbins has fallen off a cliff the past 2 weeks. Maybe the bye will help them, but he did not perform well versus the Steelers, and then
The
I
Chiefs.
forget who, Kansas
Tough
City.
matchups, yes, but
Yeah.
the PPR
Tough.
value's not there, like Collin was saying. That's what you
Right.
need. And Dobbins doesn't have it.
Exactly. Yeah. And CD Lamb, I mean, you can't hate on that pick. He was actually one that has been picking it up as of late. Um, and then you look at Ridley. I mean, he
Just
scored
so hit
three
or miss,
points.
bro. So
Yeah.
hit or miss.
Yeah. Ridley put up what 24 week 2, and then it was like he
2.
scored 3 points combined the past 2 weeks. A Chain looks like it's just that's a shitty situation with A Chain.
Yep.
Keenan Allen doesn't look very good.
Awful.
Odunze doesn't look very good. So it's like Cooper Cup coming back will help him, but it's like, man, the running back room is down in the old rooms right
Yeah.
now.
And I don't even think Cooper Cup can save it. I mean, Colin, what do you think
Whole
here?
team,
So
yeah.
did he make any trades?
He has not made a single trade, and that's what I'm saying. Like he got complacent.
So, so all I'm seeing is like weeks 1, 2, and 3 pretty much. He was like he was sizing himself up for a ring, and we were too. It was
Yeah.
like, dude, this is
Yeah.
crazy. So the only thing that happened was Cooper Cup got injured, and now he's a bottom tier team in the league. Like that just sounds like incredibly bad luck, or like you said, complacency, whatever it is. Like he didn't make a bad trade. Like Cooper Cup got injured, but like if he's that great, he should have been able to overcome that. But I don't know. Going down
Oh,
what?
I thought you meant Cooper Cup should have just overcome the injury.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know if that's
too.
how that works, but
No,
all right.
no, but like I don't know, dude. Yeah, just bad luck, complacency. I don't
Well,
know,
bad
but
luck, or did he overvalue his players? Like I said, I mean, you have to kind of be watching the games and realize that ETN is not getting, he's not the guy anymore, right?
dude,
It's now
from
a
Yeah.
committee.
me and Judson, like I wanted to do it. He was the one that backed out.
Exactly,
Garrett
because he
Wilson,
overvalued his players.
Garrett Wilson for Calvin Ridley and ETN. In hindsight, I would kill myself if I would have made that
That
trade.
would be the worst trade this year so far.
But 2 weeks ago, I was begging him to do it, and he said no, like he's gonna ride with his guys.
And that's
And
and that's
yeah,
the problem. So I don't really blame bad luck because I think you have a deal like that. Garrett Wilson's not all that, but even still, he's better than what ETN and Calvin Ridley are doing, right?
yeah,
Especially in terms of outlook. And then you build on the fact Keenan Allen does not have a good outlook. Odunze is handicapped.
two Bears wide receivers on the same roster is
Yeah,
crazy. By
God,
the
I
way,
hate that.
Yeah.
It makes me want to barf.
Yeah. Jackson
Um,
did not put it as lightly as I was going to, but
the
It makes me
Bears,
want to barf.
yeah.
it's not even the good Bears wide receiver. It's the two shitty ones. I mean, respectfully,
Yeah.
the worst one. And then he can't. I mean, he has Colby Parkinson or Kyle Pitts at tight end, but that's a 0 point every other week, it seems. Granted, tight ends
Yeah.
suck. Yeah, I like to think about that because it happens every year. And it you get your early first, team in the league, and then something happens. Rarely does a team that starts off number one, 2-0, whatever, 3-0, 4-0 even, AJ, I mean, we can throw him in there, that wins it all. Because for one reason or another, they overvalue their players, they make a bad trade thinking they need to do something or whatever. It's just being in that early powerful spot is sometimes more of a curse than a blessing. So
We just overreact
for
every
sure,
year.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well, we
That's
got a couple more questions. I know we talked about Chris earlier. He's bounced back and forth this season, and in typical Chris fashion, he has made a bunch of trades. And did he ruin his season with all these like he did last year? And should he have stopped at one point? Does he need to make more trades? Just give me some general thoughts, and you can tie this however you want. Tony, this is something that, again, you kind of brought up. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Chris's team is also definitely, I would say, the second most interesting team in the league because you have a lot of guys that it's just like you don't know with CMC, with Tyreek Hill, even you could say with Pittman, like you still don't know what the outlook on Pittman's going to be once Richardson gets back, and then Braylon Allen, yeah. What's his Brees Hall doesn't look good, but it's like I mean, what are the Jets going to do up there, especially now that they fired their head coach? Like, you never know what could happen.
Right.
Deontay Johnson's very hit or miss. Mike Evans is very solid. Diggs has been playing well. Jacobs doing well, and then Darnold as well. I don't know if the Vikings will even keep producing like they are this year. So, Chris's team and Judson's team, I would say, are definitely very interesting to look at.
I agree. I agree. Colin, do you agree?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. The trade, I don't know. I'm just not. Like you said with that stat before. The trades just aren't for me. Chris probably a little more bold than I am with that, but I mean, it feels like he's just collected the hospital crew this year, and I don't see the point of, like I said about Tony's team a couple weeks ago. I don't see the point of the suffer now. Like, let's win later. Like, if you're just really gonna be that bad now, it's gonna be
Mhm.
too late once these guys get back. And I don't know. That's
Yeah.
the way I see it.
The whole idea is you'll get lucky with a couple wins, but even with a league like ours, competitive as it is, it's hard to just luck into a couple wins.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to open this up. Are there any teams kind of like under the radar that you just look at it and it's like, like, I don't know. I'll throw one out there right now. I'll go Brock.
I
Brock's,
was gonna say Brock. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't
Brock.
talked about a lot since the Tony trade, but since he's just been like, I look at his team and it doesn't scream to me. I think good, solid all around, but doesn't.
He gets lost in the commotion, I think,
Yes, for
but
sure.
he could very well probably a playoff team.
I think so.
Um, yeah, could make a run for sure. He just gets lost in he's not being too noisy in the as far as trades go, or as far as he not racking up the wins, but like he's just doing his thing, and
Hmm.
very well could sneak in there and be an issue.
I agree. I think Ty could definitely turn it around. I think uh Jay Gill could definitely rattle off a couple more wins. But I think there's a tier break, like I said, the top four guys, but then that like 5 to 8 range, 5 to 9 range, really, that's like a really murky area where we really don't know what can happen for any of those teams. And it's different than last year because last year it was pretty much top to like 10th place, anyone could win. Now there are those tier breaks as it has been in years past.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brock, I mean, when are we gonna get the patented Tony and Collin combo on Brock? I mean, where's that been this year?
Like I said, dude, he's just laying low. I think me and Tony might have scared him off last year. I don't know what it is,
Did you like
but
scar him? Is that what happened?
I'm thinking so. He feels the need to be, a background character in the league this year, and then I think when the playoffs come, he thinks he's gonna, really strike. But I mean, we know the type of character Brock is as a manager. He's
Sleazy.
he's gonna go low if he needs to. And I mean, guys like me and Tony, I mean, other guys in the league, like we're gonna call him out for sure.
Oh,
And
we'll let him have it.
yeah, this
Don't-
is a high character league, and I don't know if Brock's held his end of the bargain the past year or two.
Are there any targets right now that you guys have? Are you guys kind of gearing up for anything?
I haven't seen anything
Any
too crazy.
attacks? Nothing.
I haven't seen anything too crazy.
You guys are like the
I would
authority in our
say
group.
a lot of the time it's not so much a planned attack.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you guys are just that good. Is that what I'm hearing?
we're
No.
just we're
Okay,
just
yeah, we are that good. Yeah, like Tony was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are
yeah.
just.
I mean, when it's time to strike, we're gonna strike. But we're silent predators. We're just waiting for that moment.
I love it. I love it. Well, there's only a few minutes left in our session here. I want to open up the floor if there's any closing remarks about your teams, other people's teams. If you want to talk some trash, talk some trash. The floor is yours. I want to close it off. Let's start with Colin.
Yeah. Um, really no big statement, really nothing. This is directed at one person and one person only. Chris,
Oh,
this is going to you.
I love it.
Let's talk Mike Evans.
Whoa.
I want Mike Evans on my team.
Well, folks, look what happened last time. Colin name dropped a player. He name dropped Gary Wilson. He was gone the next week. So I'm pretty confident Mike Evans is going to be gone based on the
Uh,
trend. You're 1 for 1 on dropping name players. So Mike Evans.
let's talk Mike Evans. That's all I
Wow.
want to say.
Tony Marmani, our soldier, thank you for your service, by the way. Please finish us out. Finish us off. Finish us, whatever.
Okay. All right then.
Finish on us. Finish us off,
Do
Tony.
whatever. Do it any.
I would also like to call someone out, and that would be Austin Dudgeon, because I am looking for a running back, and I think I'm gonna slide into those DMs, and we got some shop to talk, if you will.
Ooh.
Um, another thing I will say is I'm not counting out Judd's team just yet. I think you got to wait a couple weeks before you put that squad out of the championship contention.
Well, he's out on scoring points, it seems. Personally had given up on it. But hey, he's your friend. I like that you're sticking up for him. He's all of our friends, but he
Last
just
thing, I do
yeah.
have a last thing actually. The only reason I cut you off is because I know you're gonna like to hear this. I did just check to see if I was the highest scoring team in the league. I'm not. I'm second to Jackson.
I
And
know.
then I was like, okay, let me check and see if I've given up the most points in the league. I'm not. Jackson has. So Jackson's taking care of business over there. I appreciate what he's doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do hate whenever you're up because you are borderline as bad as Chris in the chat. But respect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree. You got to give Jackson the respect for all the work he puts in with the team and with all the media that he does. Like, that is well respected league round.
This shit means something to the kid right there,
Shit
man. You
means
gotta
something
like,
to me, man.
yeah.
Fantasy is
We
my
thank you
everything.
for that.
Well, no, I
From the
thank you guys. No, this is only good because we're getting a little, a little sappy, whatever. But I appreciate that. Listen, I don't know, I don't want to make it all about me, even though like you said, I do have the most points, have faced the most adversity, built the best roster, some would say. Uh, it's just what I do, right? Best
the
record for a
kid's
reason.
projected 130 points next week, dude. I play him.
33.
Dude. I was projected
Fucking
122.
insane.
I was like, holy fuck, I'm about to smoke up on whoever I'm playing. I checked Jackson's team. He's got Dan Marino throwing to Jerry Rice over there. I'm like,
Emmitt Smith running the ball as well.
I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I going against, bro? The fucking Monstars?
I've definitely held a lot of pride in that. I know
Yeah,
Chris and some people don't buy into projections, but I think projections are, especially ESPN's, they're pretty decent most of the
yeah,
time, and I like that. I don't know why, but it's worked well for me the past couple of years.
yeah.
But well, I mean, look, we got 1 more minute. What's the record that you guys are excited to find out about tomorrow?
I don't know, dude.
All-time record.
A record.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know the highest scoring game.
Okay, we
Oh, I
got that.
see.
We got it. And we got regular season and playoffs. So we got 2 high scoring games. Excited.
I know I've been above 175 before, and I don't. I think it, dude. I don't want to say it's me, but I've got to be in the top 2 at least, dude.
Tony, what about you? Real quick.
I think I would agree with that. I think I might
Okay.
be up there as well, though, with the playoff game last year. I don't
All
know
right.
about first or second, but maybe top 5. I don't know.
All right. Well, you guys will find that out tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is going up tonight, so enjoy it. I will see you guys. Have a good one. Be safe. Thank you guys.
Appreciate the
Sweet.
time,
Thanks,
fellas.
Jax.
See ya.
Yes,
See you,
sir.
fellas.